Hello, my name is Ben and welcome to Business Insights, a program that delves into the world of business and gives you, our viewers, insight as to what's going on in the Australian commercial markets. Today we'll be discussing the multi-million-dollar acquisition of MileMaker from the petrol retail giant Caltex. To help me discuss the planned acquisition, I have Brett, a representative from Caltex Acquisitions Department, and also Nabila, a representative from the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. As mentioned, today's program is focused on the acquisition of MileMaker Petroleum, a company that owns and operates 46 petrol stations within the Melbourne area. Caltex has proposed the purchase of assets of MileMaker for $95 million, and the purchase is subject to approval of the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission. Now, welcome Brett. Firstly, why have Caltex decided to purchase the petrol stations?
Thanks for having me, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here. The main reason we're acquiring MileMaker is because recently I've been beaten in a contract by BP with our Woolworths deal. So BP are going to acquire Woolworths for $1.78 billion, and this unfortunately will cause a loss of $100 million in earnings in 2018 for us at Caltex. So that's a bit of a bummer, really. So yes, MileMaker, a long-term partner of ours, we're looking to acquire them for $95 million. The reason for this is to gain greater control in the Melbourne area, and most importantly have better pricing control in the Melbourne area.
So, how will this impact the financial position of Caltex?
Well, in this acquisition specifically will increase our earnings by $12 million in 2018. So one of these acquisitions, just one of them, is increased by $12 million. So this will cause our dividend yields increase by 4% and 4.2% in 2017 and 2018 respectively. So as well as that, the more important thing is that we gain that control, like I said before. So we'll have a greater control leading up from 7% to 11% of our pricing in the Melbourne metropolitan area.
Wonderful, thanks Brett. Now over to Nabila from the ACCC. Nabila, could you please outline ACCC's roles in the acquisition of MileMaker from Caltex?
So our role at ACCC is to ensure the proposed acquisition of MileMaker made by Caltex is in compliance with Section 50 of Competition and Consumer Act 2010. We have identified two key areas of the acquisition that are related to this section, which are the relevant market and the location that will be affected. Based on our report, the relevant market is the retail supply of petrol, and the location is in Melbourne metropolitan area, since 34 out of 46 MileMaker service stations that will be acquired are located there.
Wonderful. Now, does the ACCC feel that there will be any issues arising from the acquisition of these petrol stations in regards to competition and benefits to consumers?
The issue here is that the acquisition of MileMaker will have an effect of removing a vigorous and effective competitor in petrol retail supply to consumers in both local geographic market and metropolitan area in Melbourne. This is because even though MileMaker is a franchisee of Caltex, it has its own pricing strategy that create a competitive environment among the retailers in those areas. As you know, the petrol price will always fluctuate. This issue is a really big concern to consumers because based on last year's reports on Australian petrol market, change in petrol price cycles over recent years is clearly due to retailers' greed to seek a higher margin and not cost base. For example, during price increase phase, a price is usually will be initiated by a major retailer, and the rest of the retailer will increase their price one by one. As a result, the price will increase throughout the city. However, with the presence of MileMaker, this trend can be prevented. This is because MileMaker is known to react slower to this trend, and if the price is in decrease phase, the company will rapidly drop the price. Referring to the previous situation, MileMaker pricing strategy can gain a temporary increase in sales and a reputation for a lower price. Due to that, other retailers may abandon jars so that they can also gain a temporary increase in sales. The longer the delay of price increase by MileMaker, the more likely other retailers will discontinue their price increase. The previous study of retail petrol market by ACCC also supported the importance of independent retailers such as MileMaker in creating competitive market environment.
Thanks, Nabila. Now, Brett, what is your response to the comments made by Nabila on behalf of the ACCC?
Well, she speaks strongly about the pricing strategy of Caltex and how us acquiring Mile Maker could be anti-competitive. Well, one of the things we've talked about in Caltex is how we could adopt Mile Maker's pricing strategy in order to keep it fair, competitive, and most of all cheap for the Melbourne motorist users, especially in the metropolitan area of Melbourne.
Wonderful. Finally, Nabila, is it likely that this acquisition will be approved by the ACCC?
Yeah, from our perspective, we are very likely to oppose this acquisition if Caltex continue want to implement their pricing strategy into MyMaker.
Now, I understand that BP wish to acquire the Woolworths fuel network in Melbourne. Will you have a similar perspective to that acquisition?
The ACCC is still in the early stage of analysing the proposed acquisition by BP and Woolworths. I ensure you all cases looked at by the ACCC are analysed fairly. If we look back to ACCC previous decision on Caltex and Mobil merger in 2009, the ACCC opposed the merger because Caltex is regularly lead the price increase in petrol, which can result to lessening competition in citywide petrol market. The same situation can happen to current market if Caltex adapt its pricing strategy into MyMaker. Due to that, ACCC will most probably oppose this acquisition.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us on Business Insights this morning. We hope you have enjoyed our segment, and I would like to thank today's guests, Brett and Nabila, for giving us such great insight into the acquisition process within Australia. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope you have a great Sunday. See you next time.